Loyal Moves, checking in with y'all, man. Make sure y'all subscribe and like. We're gonna take it back. We're gonna go all the way back. Let's see what's going on. Let's check it out, man. They eating dogs. My man said they eating dogs. They eating dogs. All right, let's get it, man. Let's figure this shit out. You're gonna have to take it back to figure it out.
Closest to the pin for an ultra.
Cause they pissing me off. If y'all ain't gonna fight, who ain't see this? Who ain't see this coming? Let's go. Nobody seen this coming? Everybody seen this coming. They eating dogs, man. He should be a comedian. I swear to God. That nigga said they eating dogs, bro. Motherfucker lied so hard, he had to lie. He gotta make this shit sound crazy. I ain't never heard of. I had to take it back and look at this like, hold on, man. And first off, man, God bless y'all today. I don't even supposed to be doing this right now. I don't even supposed to be doing this, man, on holy days. But I seen a big circle in the cloud last night in the moon. I was like, around the moon. I was like, what the hell is that? But it's a sign. So
the high-stakes showdown here in Philadelphia between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Their first face-to-face meeting in this presidential election. Their first face-to-face meeting ever.
A historic race for president upended just weeks ago. President Biden withdrawing after his last debate. Donald Trump now up against a new opponent.
The candidates separated by the smallest of margins, essentially tied in the polls nationally and in the key battlegrounds, including right here in Pennsylvania, all still very much in play. The ABC News presidential debate starts right now.
This is an ABC News special. The most consequential moment of this campaign. Kamala Harris.
Together, we will chart a new way forward.
Donald Trump.
We will soon be a great nation again.
Face to face. Historic. The ABC News presidential debate. Here now, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Good evening, I'm David Muir, and thank you for joining us for tonight's ABC News presidential debate. We want to welcome viewers watching on ABC and around the world tonight. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
And that brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared with the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, and this is the clock. That's what they'll be seeing. 2 minutes for rebuttals and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak. No pre-written notes allowed. There is no audience here tonight in this hall at the National Constitution Center. This is an intimate setting for 2 candidates who have never met.
President Trump won the coin toss. He chose to deliver the final closing statement of the evening. Vice President Harris selected the podium to the right.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Here they come. Let's go. Let's get it.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid,
And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year, because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
Sheesh. And guess what? We're there. Yeah, we're right there. Guess what? It was already written. It was already seen. And we did. Ain't that some shit? Wow. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like them likes. This is we're gonna just go back and listen to the words. Listen to the words. That's all we're gonna do. We're gonna just listen and go back and think about where we at right now. That's all we doing.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because it was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people.
And where we at now? Huh? Well, where are we now? Where are we now, brother? Where we at?
Well, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that Xi and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad. But it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the great...
Boy, this a line. Oh, my God. Man, let's... Boy, and guess what's here?
Greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic, and the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So,
Hell to the
I tried the new bearskin hood.
Hell nah, man. I don't know how I know that, bro. Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it, Trump. Stop it, man. We gonna treat Trump like a human being to just, you know what I mean? It's just, you know that kid that need the extra help, man. God damn. Whew. He be what? He be lying like a motherfucker, man. All right. Come on.
and when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse, mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that...
Hold up. We say that again. Say that again.
Economy worst, mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this, because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have, and who's going to have higher prices, is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response, and you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century.
Whoa. Let's go back.
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in...
Let's say that again. What the hell?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that she was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID?
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from.
That's crazy, man. It's like he want to see America fail or some shit. That's wild.
Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, is doing an excellent job. But the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. And now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban, because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter, because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came to your desk?
Well, I won't have to, because again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea, and how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free, but they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it, because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress, do it. But the fact is that for years, they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. what is happening in our country. Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I have to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question? Would you
because
veto?
under Roe v. Wade,
Answer the question. Would you veto?
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the governor, former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first. And I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they...
Yeah, this motherfucker crazy, man.
What's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president, this...
Hold on, man. One more time, man. What the...
into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from television.
But the people on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says they're...
out of here, man. This motherfucker crazy.
There's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
He said they eating the dogs, they eating the cats. I'm telling you, they telling me this.
That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country.
Never said
And if
I'm
she
crazy
becomes
again.
president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well,
All
I've seen
this.
people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
The people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good
Yeah.
thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the Republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond
Yeah.
here.
Thank you. Because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose were just killed viciously and violently killed. And I got to know.
Sound like the old lady that be complaining all the time, calling motherfuckers all the time. Just call them up. Hey, I need him fired. He just sound like an old ass lady. Like, listen to him, man. He sound like an old ass lady.
Thank you. Because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose were just killed viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him, so he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me they can write books, with nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
They ain't fired him. They ain't fired him.
Long agent gets on your network, they can do a lot of havoc. So zero trust network and security beings, they go.
You like an old ass lady talking about they ain't fired nobody. I called them, I complained, and they didn't fire nobody. Fuck out of here. He just want people fired. He mad they ain't fired nobody. I fired about 20 people. They ain't fired nobody. So he came in, he fired like 12 million motherfuckers. He been complaining since the 60s and shit. You ain't did what he said do. Now he done came in and fired every motherfucking body. He about to fire himself.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear, where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand.
They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people
Vice President
to stop
Harris.
him.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to...
Let's hear that again.
History because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my...
Hold on. $4 million on a silver and filed bankruptcy 6 times. And they're going to tell me, Donald Trump rich, why would he have to take from anybody? Well, why would he have to file bankruptcy like 6 times? Like, come on, man. Y'all got to stop.
My work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name-calling. The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
Man, that nigga beating people down, lifting people up, smacking them around. They call them the bully. That's terrible.
I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him, but I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead, we'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400, 500 acres of desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that
for
we
the
have to get
environment,
to.
as she
We're out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar, remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
one
ask
of those, David, one of those people are going to be prosecuted. One of the people that burned down Minneapolis is going to be prosecuted. Or in Seattle, they went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. One of those people are going to be prosecuted.
But let me just ask
you. You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes, sir.
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
Wrong.
Pelosi. They cracked Nancy Pelosi husband head open or some shit. I think that's what happened. They cracked that man head open. She was at home or some shit. See, they be having little hits on each other and shit. Got us between in the middle. We sending hits after each other and shit. Sent somebody to that man's house. Somebody said then lied and said that was that man's lover.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the president of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate.
Kill the witch.
And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say, we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this, you talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border. How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now.
It changed the story up fast as a motherfucker.
I'd like to see her go.
Let's change the question. They asked him a question. He changed to a whole different.
Down to Washington, D.C. during this debate, because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border, because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President of the United States, you'll get him out of bed, you'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right. You'll say, come on down to the office, let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you, because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
that.
You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them Republican.
No judge looked at it.
And said
they said we didn't have standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The President of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you do a special on it, I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
He said he ain't gonna let him intimidate her. He ain't gonna let him suppress the vote.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States. And world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did, in fact, lose that election. It leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that, but he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president, but when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think
up.
we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now
Yes.
to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis. Many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up. Far worse than people understand what's going on over there.
The big part. Just the big part.
She hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation. And now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true.
Let's hear that again, bro. You gonna be what? You gonna do what? You gonna get his... And where we at now? He said he gonna get it done just before he become the president.
Dollars because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation. And now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on national security, including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic From the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia.
Man, he'll drain you. He'll drain you. He will drain you. For an old ass man, boy. Shit. I done heard up, down, around the corner. He'll drain you, man. Lawyer Moves. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit them likes, man. And make them comments. He'll drain the hell out of you. He will do it. I've been sitting here listening. It's old. And going over some thoughts and shit. Like, listening to he's saying, wow. So, let's see how this goes. Let's see something. They're eating the dogs. My man said they eating the dogs. I'm telling you. They eating the dogs, man. They eating the dogs. Trump, there's nothing saying that people eating dogs. I'm telling you, I seen them eat a dog. That's crazy. You seen somebody eat a dog, bro? Good Lord, eating dogs.
He may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here...
They threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interests for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also, as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Damn.
Gravity. Or what if we make...
She told that man Putin to eat his ass for lunch.
President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening. But he does have that, something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fella. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander-in-chief. And the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen, he's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this. And the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not, again, appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be commander-in-chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have.
A dude asked his ass, like, why you sending me pictures of my house? That dude, like, man, why you said Donald Trump sending the nigga threats and shit? Hey, look, dude, look, this your house, right? He's sending them pictures and shit on the phone and shit.
Have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr.
Get your ass on President Trump. You got a lot of shit with you, President Trump. He ain't gonna do one good thing and do about 20 million crazy things, man. That's what I be trying to figure out. Like, how this nigga go do one good thing and then he go do about 50 million crazy motherfuckers, and then he go back and do one good thing, and then he come back and do 50 million more crazy motherfucking things. God dang! I mean, if a person want to be hated, he's the one. For real, I ain't never seen a villain like this. Like, fuck it, everybody hates me. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen a villain like that. There's a whole villain that just a villain. This the villain everybody was talking about. Like, this the villain that you see in the movies. Like, he go do some good shit, and then he go back into a villain. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying here, but if this motherfucker is the villain I think he is, boy, we in trouble. I'm dead ass serious. If he's the villain I think he is, we in trouble. Just listening to him, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
She put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on
Hold on.
A period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm asking.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember, how Donald Trump started. He was land. He had owned land. He owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent
Black people
property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
Let's go.
Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black...
Let's go. So we having problems with blacks and Latinos? Is we having problems with blacks
this kind
and
of
Latinos?
approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land. He had owned land. He owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park...
Whoa, hold there, buddy. Buddy Trump. And what the hell you done did here is showed that you don't like black and Mexicans. If we rewind it back, it seems to me you're trying to get blacks and Mexicans out the fucking way.
And he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better.
Hold up. Wow. He don't want blacks and Mexicans around. It's ridiculous, man.
Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
He don't want blacks and Latinos around. Let's play it again.
To rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park...
What? He don't want black and Latinos around. This little shit. He don't want black and Latino people around. You know, I get some of my best food. And he fucking it up. He don't want black and Latino people around. She just explained what he did and what we seeing today. He don't want blacks and Latino people around. One more time. Let's see.
Use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
Bingo. You don't say no more. Say no more. Let's say no more. Say no more. Say no more. Now, we saying it again. That's why he said history plays itself again. That's what you were saying to me, guy? Okay. So history plays itself again. You know what I'm saying? But he don't want black and Latinos around. So okay, he went after the Mexicans, and he's like, well, why after you finish with the Mexicans, we're gonna go after the blacks. Now he going to Nigeria. Not only that he messing up all the programs and everything, he just destroying everything. Now Putin is moving in more closer. But it's something weird about that. It's something weird about that. His eyes closed too. She brought up a bingo point. A bingo point. This is a bingo point. Bingo. Bingo. You know what I'm saying? Bingo. Like, do we have to be any clear? Like, how clear you gotta be? This is just before. This is something ahead of time. Now we to this 2024. Now we in 2025, going in 2026. What it was, 200 and some days in office. Now, 200 and some days in office, that's why I say he do a little good. The hide what he do. He do a little good to hide the bad shit he about to do. He do a little good here, do a little hide the bad shit he about to do. This is 4 black men and a Mexican, a Latino. This is 4 black men, a 4 black men and a Latino, and he wanted these people out the way. To today, running Latinos down the street, threatening black schools. This is what we got right now. This is where he showed his person to be before, ahead of time. And this is what we got now.
That is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember.
Let that sink in. Remember, this is where we at now.
Remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who...
So listen, he called for 5 of these black boys, a Latino and some black boys be executed, kill them, put them on death row. And it was innocent. But he wanted to see them on death row. So today, he wanted to see them dead. He wanted to see them fried. Innocent people. He wanted to see these innocent boys fried in a chair, lecture chair. He wanted to see them fried. But they innocent. He didn't give a fuck if they was innocent or not. He want to see some innocent boys and these black boys and Latino. Let me say these African Americans and Latinos. He wanted to see these boys fried. To today. So my next thing to be, well, hey, we gonna get there. Can't give you everything, but wow, we here now. Let's go over it again. He didn't want to rent his properties to black people. So he didn't want to rent his properties to black people. So then he involved himself in a situation where as though he wanted some black kids and a Latino kid to be prosecuted to the full force where as though they on death row and die. But these people was innocent. So we took today where he want to see black people fail and Latino people fail. Again. So let's go over this again, man. Let's see, because this is right there. It's right there. What he doing?
Who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
And now we here today, where as though he going out for Latinos and blacks. There you go. Now we here today where he going out for Latinos and blacks. Where's Willie D at, man? Where's Willie D? Give me that clap, Willie D. Give me the clap, Willie D, man. Shout out to Willie D. Now we here and we talking about blacks and Latinos. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. One more time, lady. One more time.
And he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park.
5 Black and Latino boys. He did that, and we here now. He did that, we here now. We here now. Key point. He did that, and we here now.
He was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
And we here now. So today, we here now. He already had problems with Latinos. He already had problems with blacks. Now his problems is with the whites did not, know what I mean? He gonna get y'all last. That's what his thing is. But he going through the process of what he been like, who he been the whole time of his life, who he been. This whole time he been there. That's who he been. You know what I mean? That's who he are. That's who he is. He been that much. He been him. You know what I'm saying? He been him. Him ain't changed. Him been him. But nobody wanna believe him ain't been him the whole time. Him to other people was blind. But this is the key point of that, you know what I'm saying, is Mexican and black. Is his desire to dismiss. Listen, either that.
To rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent.
5 boys that was innocent. That was black and 1 Latino. Black and 1 Latino. 4 blacks and 1 Latino. Am I hearing this right? 4 blacks and 1 Latino from the Central Park. Okay, so now we here today running motherfucking Mexicans up and down the street, and he have no respect for the lower class blacks. So it's a problem with blacks and Latinos. He trying to get them out the country. She's saying it right there. You listen. It been there. It ain't changed. Him been the same. Him ain't changed. Him been the same. Him ain't changed. You know what I'm saying? Him been going down for blacks and Latinos forever. Him ain't changed. You know what I'm saying? People like, oh, him ain't changed. Him don't like blacks and Latinos. Him for real with this. Him a cover up sheep. Him a liar. Him is real. Him the devil, bruh. Him be lying so hard that, you know what I mean, motherfuckers be forgetting that this is what you did, motherfucker. Look. This is what you did, bro.
And he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were
innocent. I plead my case. He don't like blacks and Latinos. And he doing it again. He doing it again. He at it again. He at it again. He doing it in a large way now. He doing it. You know what I mean? Just going after blacks and Latinos. He doing it in a big way now. Back then, that just was a small portion of him. Now this a big portion of him. See, wrong judgment. They was innocent. They was innocent. His wrong judgment. His judgment is wrong. He make the wrong decisions, the wrong choices, wrong judgment. Trump got wrong judgment of people. That's what it is. He don't
This kind of
understand his judgment
approach that is
fucking
just
him up.
constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land. He owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent.
He don't like black and Latino. What we looking at right now, who is he going after? That's it. That was the small him when he wasn't a president. He was nothing near no president thinking. And he didn't like black people then. He didn't like Latinos then. He don't like black people now. And he don't like Latinos now. That's the point right there. He sent 5 boys to jail, 4 black, 1 Latino, and we sitting here now watching Latinos run up and down the motherfucking street, being thrown at ISIS cars and shit, and the disrespectful things that he doing to black people at the same time. And people think that, okay, you can't look back in time and see some shit, and the motherfucker saying this out his mouth and doing it. He's not racist. He's not racist. He's not racist, but he wanted to see 5 boys be electrocuted in an electric chair. He wanted to see them fry an electric chair. Like he been he been Hannibal Lecter. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's who he want. He like Hannibal Lecter. That's what he say he like. So he want to watch 5 boys fry in the chair that's black and Latino. Man. Oh, no, man. You want to see 5 boys electrocuted in a chair that was black and Latino, and we seeing blacks having problems, and we seeing Latinos having problems. Son is, man. Man. We seeing blacks and Latinos having problems. He wanted to see 1 Latino and 4 blacks be electrocuted for something that they didn't do. Up to today, we seeing blacks and Latinos and some whites that ain't, agree on none of his shit and problems. So what he doing, he started with the Latinos first, then he started going after the blacks. And he told them, man, if you don't vote for me, y'all gonna have some problems. So he told the dude, look, sent him a picture of his house, made a threat to him, sent a picture to his house and say, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you, but yeah, that's your home. Like a low punch threat. So the low punch threats, the low punch threats, you have to take them motherfuckers seriously because people be laughing and giggling and shit and not paying attention that he be serious. He don't be playing. It just sounds so funny to people that they don't think that they don't take him serious, right? He be dead ass serious about the shit he say. You just gotta pay attention to what the fuck he's saying. He be dead ass motherfucker be laughing at him and not paying attention too much. Like you just gotta pay attention and sit back and listen to what he say out his fucking mouth. And if he say the shit out his mouth, people think it's a joke. That's where they at. They think, you know what I mean? Probably a lot of supporters of his think he be joking. And they be like, okay, he's joking. Like, until they see him actually go and do the shit, and they like, oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the disturbing ass part come in at. Because people really actually think this man joke. They laughing at him like, you know what I mean? Laughing. And he be laughing too, but he be serious as shit. Like that's what some of his supporters were thinking. Like, well, nah, he ain't gonna go that far and do that. You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna go. He ain't gonna do that. And you know what I mean? He fuck around and do it, and they be like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what shit at right there. That's why he loses supporters, man. Cause some of them be thinking he joking and playing and shit. And he be dead ass serious. He be dead ass here. People been telling him like, man, look, he's serious. He's not playing. Y'all better start taking him for real what he's saying and looking into what he's talking about. Because if you don't, if you miss out of what he's saying, then you gonna miss what he gonna do later on. You know what I'm saying? If you miss out the shit that he's saying, then you gonna miss what he gonna do to your ass later on. People don't pay like he told the lady. Look outside. Look at that. That's your house. If listen, if a man know how to make threats like that, he been knowing how to make them threats for years. You know what I'm saying? If he know how to make them type of threats, he been making them threats for years. You get what I'm saying? Look outside your house. I mean, look, that's your house. I ain't gonna tell you what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? He been making them threats for years. He know how to make them threats. Come on, man. He a professional at it. Look outside. So he don't like blacks. He don't like Mexicans. It just said right here. You know what I mean? And who he going after? Blacks and Mexicans. Like, duh, motherfucker.
How Donald Trump started. He was land. He owned land. He owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
And guess what? He said he gonna become the president. The Central Park 5, I'm gonna become the president in 2025. And now I'm going after Mexicans and blacks. And trying to help other countries. Fuck this country. Damn. It's right plain sighted right there. He don't like Mexicans and blacks. He been like this forever. He been like this, man. You know what I'm saying? He been like this forever. It ain't changed. It ain't changed no pace. What he got older? He look innocent or some shit. So y'all be thinking he joking. Y'all think he playing and shit. So y'all wake up in the morning and all y'all ass be sold. Like, oh shit, we thought he was playing. Oh shit, we didn't believe nobody. You know what I'm saying? People be thinking people playing all the motherfucking time and joking and shit and laughing and cause they laughing, it can't be done. You know what I'm saying? That's what people problem at right there. Cause they be thinking people be laughing and they don't think that they seriously gonna do certain type of shit cause they laughing. That's the crazy part about people, man. They don't pay attention to these signs. You know what I'm saying? They think that because a person laughing, that's a weakness or some shit. They weak. They can't. They laugh and they joking. He don't mean that. No. He don't. No. He don't mean that. He's playing. Yeah. He's playing. He don't mean what he's saying. They go dead ass serious. And he dead ass serious in what he gonna do. Didn't he just say at the lady, what was that? The lady funeral? What he say at the lady funeral? Yeah. Oh, you forgive him? No, I don't forgive nothing. That nigga don't forgive nothing. Y'all, they was laughing, like everybody laughing and thinking he playing like it's a small of a joke. It's small of a joke. And he dead ass serious. You know what I mean? He's saying that he don't wish his competitors well. He gotta take them down. You know what I'm saying? They think this man joking. Like people laughing at him and think he like the shit he say out his mouth funny. And he probably be like, but I'm for real. I'm serious. And they thinking he laugh. And this is how he got some of his followers. His followers think he joking and shit. And then wake up and see some shit in the morning and be like, oh shit, what the It's a whole different story now. Cause people think this man joking and ain't paying attention to what the fuck he doing. And he doing some serious shit and some serious damage. I'm dead ass serious. He doing some serious damage to a person. People, oh, you're overreacting. You're overreacting. A lot of people ain't never seen no breaking law from the law. You get what I'm saying? No, nobody never seen that. Like the breaking the law from the law. You know what I'm saying? And what we mean, the government. Nobody never seen like up front the government breaking laws in our face. And they would say, well, what's the difference? They both break the law. The difference is nobody ever seen a motherfucker that brave to break law in front of your face, like, and say he didn't do nothing. Like he give you the law he gonna break, and then that's a lie. That's a lie. And then you sitting there like, hold up, what the fuck? You talking about? It's a lie. Like you talking about it's a lie. Like, am I tripping? Let me rewind something back here. Now, right now is one of them times, like right here. Like, you telling me you wouldn't rent to blacks and you try to take 5 innocent people down that was black and Mexican, and now you telling me we sitting here and you the president again, and you going out for Raka Latinos and blacks. You trying to, but you wanted these innocent people, 5 boys, fried. You wanted them killed. This serious. Like this. That's why I say people take shit for a joke. Like he wanted 5 innocent people killed that was Latino and black. And now we as though he got some type of power and he's sending militaries out for blacks and Latinos. He have a problem with blacks and Latinos, bruh. That's what it is. He got a problem with blacks and Latinos, and it's clear. It's clear. It's clear. It's clear. You have a problem with blacks and Latinos. It's clearly seen. You know what I'm saying? And Latinos and blacks, I need to get off that bullshit and get back in order because you have a problem with Latinos and blacks. You white folks to see this and like, okay, damn, this nigga is crazy. He coming after you next. Cause he feel as though, okay, you're a traitor. But he gonna start what he hate on. He hate first. He gonna start what he hate the most first, and that's Latinos and blacks. And then he gonna get to his traitors as he feel. And that's you white folks who didn't vote for him and, you know what I mean, agree on some of the shit that he say out his mouth. That's real wild that you can see it and nobody in the world act like they see it. Like they, you know, illegally breaking our rights in the world. Illegally breaking our rights in the world to make a president, a man is a president that don't like blacks and Latinos. Oh, hey, I have one friend, he's black. That don't make you like blacks. I work with blacks. That don't make you like blacks, bruh. I got one friend that's black. That don't make you like black people. Because you work with blacks. That don't make you like black people, man. You trying to convict one Latino and 4 black men. And we up to today where you running Latinos down the street and you do away with black programs and black this and black. Man, you're amazing. You're amazing. If a person can just glorify shit in your face and people think it's a joke and overlook it and don't see it, he's what I call a ventriloquist. You know what I mean? What they call him? The one that play with the dummy. His lip don't move, but the dummy do. He more like man, the personality of a person that angry that's getting old. Cause you know you get older, you get more angry. You get angry, I guess. You get older. I don't know. I guess that's what it is with life. You know, you got an angry old man, an angry old lady. You know what I mean? Angry old people. You get older, they get angry. You know? Get out of my yard. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Trump's showing. I don't like Puerto Ricans. I don't like Latinos. I don't like blacks. I don't like Mexicans. I don't like veterinarians. I don't like veterinarians. I don't like nobody. Oh man, you don't like nobody. You don't even like yourself. Like, you can see it. I mean, you don't like nothing. You like the kid to always complain, you know, about shit all the time. I mean, they had to show him life was more than that. Like, come on, Trump. You can get some ass, Trump. Let's get Trump some ass. Yeah. Let him get him a girl. He'll be all right. He's upset now. This way, his wife ain't giving him that. His wife ain't getting him. Wife ain't giving him that. You know what I'm saying? His wife ain't gave him that. He ain't had that from the wife since the boy was born. Since he ain't had none since the wife ain't gave him none, y'all. The wife, he ain't had none in a while, man. Yeah, excuse him. It's just, I mean, things crazy. You know what I'm saying? Things crazy. Yes, he did. He just hit the secretary the other day, and something ain't right. You know what I mean? What the lady say? You gotta use the clapper. I mean, yeah, everybody mad. People be mad. He mad. I'm mad. I'm mad in the morning time. But he's just mad. He don't like poor. He don't like Latinos, man. He don't like black people. He running them up and down the motherfucking street. He want to frown for real. Like he don't like us. He play like he do. I got a couple of friends. I work with a lot of black people. Yeah, bruh. Yeah, okay. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But you don't like blacks and Latinos. You wanted some innocent boys to be killed for something they didn't do. And now we up to today that you destroying black communities and you running after Latino people. That's where we at today. You destroying black communities and you running after Latino people. Back to the day when you went after 4 boys that was black and Latino. Come on, man. It's just obvious. Like, let's take it back to forward as shit. Like a day he wanted to see 4 black boys and a Latino boy be fried. To the day we sitting here watching him run black and Latino people to the floor as a president. So he taking from black communities, he's sending National Guards in black communities, and he's sending ISIS out for, you know what I'm saying, the Latinos. So it's black and Latinos. Back to the day where though he wanted to see 4 black boys and a Latino be electrocuted for some shit that they didn't do. Whoa. Really? Is this what we saying? I mean, tell you who he is, and people don't look at it, they think he's playing and shit. Ah, he's funny. That nigga funny, huh? That's funny? That shit ain't funny. You telling me he was about to prosecute, I'm gonna make a phone call. Ass nigga, he gonna make a phone call to have 5 boys electrocuted or hung or shot for a crime they didn't do. And the 5 boys was black and Latino. To the day of 2025, we sitting here and we watching him fuck up black communities and destroying Latinos. Oh, come on. It's no clearer than that I could take it. It's no clearer than that. Like, you wanted to see 4 black boys and a Latino boy be electrocuted and hung for something they didn't do, to the day that we seeing he fucking up black communities and running Latinos up and down the street. Man. And it's crazy because he want these innocent, they was innocent. So they was innocent, he wanted them to fry. He wanted these boys to fry for some shit that they didn't do. Like a grandma ass nigga. I maybe make a phone call. You have to get rid of these neighbors of mine because they black and Latino and I can't live next door to them as nigga. You know what I'm saying? To today, he got the power. It can't get no clear. And they talking about he ain't racist. Sheesh. Shit. Look. How you gonna prosecute some innocent people? Cause they black and Latino. Because they black and they Latino. They need to be fried. I want to see it live on TV. You know what I mean? This is where I had Pamela Hers, as the witch, because witch had him in a picture, because and him in the picture, because man, come on, man. Every time you see a motherfucker, he's a witch, she's a witch. Back in the like ancient ages and shit, back in the days, they was calling people witches, lying on motherfuckers. Just call them witch, and get them out the way, and people hang them and stone them to death, and get them out the way. To this nigga sitting here talking about 5 men that was innocent, and he wanted to have them electrocuted or hung or shot by a motherfucking army, with guns. This is what he want to see. This is in his mind of what he want to see happen to these people. To today, he couldn't get that done because these people time was overturned and they found out they was innocent. To today, he want to see it happen all over again. He want to see blacks and Latinos suffer, but he took it a little bit further now. Like, he took it a little bit further. He want to see some white people suffer too now. I want to see some white people suffer now. Fuck everything. That's how I get y'all last. Y'all trading mother. And we letting Tasmanian devil run around just doing shit because he hate the fact that there's other people breathing in the world where he call his air. And we with this. We just let this get past. He was able to get past. Man, this wasn't able to get past. It was made from the people that hate people. And there's a lot of them that hate people. There's a lot of people that don't hate people, and there's a lot of people that hate people. At this time, the people that also hate people is starting to hate this nigga. Real shit. Real talk. The people that starting to hate people is starting to hate him. So, because directly you're exposing they secret that they really are haters. And they don't like that. He want to be front and center, or somebody want to be in front and center with the hate. But it got to be him, because if you think about it, he tried to prosecute 5 boys that was black and Latino. To now, 2025, just think about it. And 2025, he became the president in 2025, but he wanted to prosecute 5. Now, in 2025, the 5 that he wanted to prosecute, he going after them again in his mind. In his mind, he want to prosecute blacks and Latinos. The last black and Latinos got away. He ain't get to see them fry. He ain't get to say the witch, the witch. He ain't get to see them motherfuckers die. He ain't get to see it. He ain't get to see something die. He want to see something die. Damn. 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 Y'all got a crazy mind on y'all hand, bro. Dude want to see something die. He that's all it is. He want to see somebody. He want to see some action. He want to be part of the action. He want to be up front on the action. He want to give the action. He never could give. Again, the action that he want to give is back to the black and Latino. Old racist ass shit. He back at the black. He went from back then, they got away. Shit. I wanted to see them fry. I want to see them hang. I want to see a gun squad shoot their ass up. But they was innocent, bruh. They was innocent. Now we took today that he want to see somebody die. He want to see the black. He want to see some Latinos die. He want to see some anybody. Just think about it. Again, they went after a Latino that had nothing. He in court now. He like, man, why is they got me here? I'm married to. Like, he in court now. Like, he in court now. Just think about it. Let's think about this. You got a Latino boy in court now, going through the shit he going through, falsified information. To back then, it was 5 boys, a Latino, falsified information, and he back at it again. Going out for black people and Latino for his own personal ass reasons. The first one's got away. I got power now. Let's go after him. Hey, I got a couple of people that hate blacks. I got a couple of friends that don't like blacks, and you know, we can group up. I got a couple of criminal friends who we can rob this shit from the inside. And hey, I swear to God, y'all sitting here letting it go on. It's like it's right there in your face shit. Like the prosecution of a person who want to prosecute innocent people, and he looking at that's like a discrimination of people's rights in this world. So you making people, so we uneased people because we got a man running around that is obviously racist to anybody. You telling me that a man try to get 5 people prosecuted, shot, stoned, hurt, put to their death, and it was black and Latino. To today he become the president and he doing the same shit again. And nobody, it ain't breaking nobody rights or It wasn't breaking nobody's rights for him to become the president. It wasn't breaking nobody's rights. Like he's able to become a president, and he's a biased ass person. He's a liar. He's a criminal. He's a rapist. He's all these motherfucking things, but he's able to even sit and had the honor or even lead an army of mixed type, like black, white, all kinds of people, and people would trust that he'll do them right in this country. You know, all you gotta do is make him mad people. You know what I'm saying? So he was able to get the seat to be a president. They want people to believe that. Like this person right here was able to get the seat as a president. You telling me if you was a Puerto Rican or black and you voted for that after knowing that this man, you know what I'm saying? Just think about it. He prosecute 5 men. I just be going along with him on the news app because I be getting tired. I be just listening to him like, oh, go ahead. Let me hear what you gotta say. Whining motherfuckers. I be just going ahead and listen to him, man. But I got my own thoughts. I play stupid with you fast. Like, oh yeah. But I got my own thoughts, man. My own opinions, man. I don't be. I play like I got. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I'll tell your ass anything. But come on, man. This man went back. He got 5 boys. He wanted 5 boys prosecuted that wasn't even guilty of what went on. You know what I'm saying? He wanted them electrocuted though. It's not just that he just wanted them prosecuted. He wanted them dead. Like he wanted them dead off. Like he wanted them dead. And even I think even after they figured out that they was guilty, I mean not guilty but innocent, he still wanted them dead. He didn't believe it. So we said today, now we sent to today. That was that was the young Donald Trump. Now we sent to today, and he running after Latinos, and he trying to burn down the homes and the possibilities of anything a black person can make in the world. That's what it is. He burning down the homes and the possibilities or anything that black people created or made. He want that gone. You know what I'm saying? Because in his mind and his opinion, he really actually never liked the blacks. In his mind and his opinion, he really actually never liked the Latinos. So it'll make it easy for him to do whatever it is to a black and Latino family. He don't give a fuck about a black and Latino family. Look, look, look around. Look then, look now. Look then, he been the same motherfucker. Ain't shit changed. Look then, look now. He's not racist. Shit. How you try to prosecute 5 boys that were black and Latino to now ISIS running up and down the street Latinos and you putting the forces on blacks too. It's obvious, man. It's obvious. Nobody pay attention to the obvious shit. That's obvious. Checkmate. That's obvious. Loyal move. Checkmate. So how the hell nobody can see that? Like, he running after black people now and Latinos now to the worst way possible. He's trying to do them wrong. So SNAP benefits, all that shit, health cares, Section 8, all that shit. Just think about it. To the Latinos running up and down the street from ISIS, pulling them out of cars, dragging them, just dogging them. And this is what you did before. Like, this is what you did before. Before you lied on 5 boys, now you going out for a whole country of black and Latino people. You lied on 5 guilty boys. I mean, not guilty, innocent boys that was proven they was innocent. And you still wanted them to be innocent. I mean, guilty. You still wanted them to be guilty. To the day now, we saying Latinos running up and down the street from ISIS, and black communities, funds are being, you know what I mean, taken from. Come on. It don't get as clear as that. A racist is a motherfucker. It don't get no clearer than that. You got people, look, motherfucker sent me a monkey, right? And I was like, you can't get, this not back in the day you send a motherfucker a monkey and they gonna be mad at your ass, nigga. Hey, this how you know old thinking. A motherfucker sent me a monkey and I was thinking, yeah, nigga, I am a monkey. Hey, this how dumb motherfuckers is today, man. Like, he sent me a monkey like, this gonna piss him off. Send him a monkey. And I was looking like, man, I'm about to put a monkey on my coat when I get one. I'm gonna put a whole ape on that motherfucker. Fuck you. Hey, these people be stupid, assuming like that's gonna hurt them. I'm gonna send them a monkey. You're a monkey? Nigga, yeah, I'm a monkey. Motherfucker, I'm a gorilla. I'm the big gorilla. You know what I mean? I'm a big ass ape. Fuck you talking about? That shit gonna make us mad. Let's get it together, man. Let's think about it. So assumption of people doing things, man. He should send me a monkey. I was laughing like shit. Like, he's gonna send me. That's how racist people is. They think people be still hurt about that. Like we still back in them days and shit where you send a monkey. Nigga, you harm me. You be sending me no monkey, motherfucker. I ain't no monkey. Nah, boy. That's not them days. You know what I'm saying? You send a motherfucker a monkey, they gonna be happy as shit you send them a monkey, man. They love monkeys. You talking about? They love gorillas, man. They love apes. Ain't nobody gonna get mad at you. You sent them a motherfucking gorilla or ape or monkey. People be back, they mind be drowned back in the day. They still wanna go backwards. They think that shit that they do back in the day work today. And people just stupid and dumb and not paying attention. And everything gonna hurt them. And you gonna be stressed out. And you gonna be hurt because they said something or they did something. Like, life moves on, bruh. Y'all gotta realize that too. Life moves on. People gonna die. People gonna suffer. People gonna go through all kinds of shit. All people is not gonna be here. So for a person to go ahead and think one slight little thing is gonna hurt somebody, come on, bro. It's bigger things in life that sit back and think about. You know what I'm saying? Then a motherfucker sending you a monkey. Then a motherfucker calling you a nigga. Then a motherfucker, come on, man. It's all kinds of bigger things to think about than that small ass comment. Like a small comment don't hurt nobody no more, man. That small ass picture, that shit don't hurt nobody no more. So y'all gotta get it together out here with that shit, man. Y'all gotta update y'all motherfucking skills of trying to motherfucking intimidate people, hurt people, and all that type of shit, man. Cause you gonna run into a person, a brick wall to that shit. Like, what the fuck he doing? You gonna run into a crazy motherfucker like me. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna be sitting there fucking with you all day, just fucking with you, just picking at you. Cause that's what I be doing. All day I be fucking with people because I be knowing they be zoned out. They be drunk. So I just be picking at them, going ahead, fucking with them. Just go ahead and say what you want to say. Yeah, nigga, I'm gonna talk you. I'm gonna send you a 12-page. I'm gonna write a whole essay on you, and you gonna be like, what the fuck? He just wrote that. You know what I'm saying? Just to fuck with people because I be trolling them. Yeah. Because man, if you listen to what they say or just think about what they saying and you go back and you do your history and you read shit and you look at shit and then you listen to these people like, oh man, these people are outrageous. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Y'all gotta get it together. Y'all gotta update y'all skills, man. And then we sit here talking about slow ass Donald Trump. He old as shit and nobody understand him. Man, the man been racist, man. Come on, man. He ain't changed. People trying to make him, he's getting old now. He's a good person. You know what I mean? Donald Trump, when he was going to court, Donald Trump got quiet as shit. No, hey, he's not saying nothing. I think he's changing. Donald Trump wasn't saying nothing. Y'all ain't pay attention? He wasn't saying nothing. He was quiet. He was mad. He was pissed. When he left the White House, did you see how he looked when he was getting on the plane? He looked like a person, man, I want revenge when I come back. I'm going to come back any means necessary. That's what he's saying. He was saying, I'm going to come back, and then when I come back, it's going to be some shit. So he put together his billionaire plan. His billionaire plan was to hack the system. His billionaire friend is Elon Musk. And people act like they blind to, okay, he went and got a hacker. This nigga went and got a hacker. He became friends with a hacker overnight. He just became friends with a hacker overnight. He just all of a sudden, the hacker wanted to, you know what I mean, be his friend. Elon Musk. So he telling you, regardless the whole time, shit, I'm going to become the president, regardless what y'all talking about. I know what is going to happen. And then, you know, this the thing about the Democrats, man. They too easy. You know what I mean? Too easy. Don't look, don't check. But everything a Democrat do, the Republicans check it, double check it, triple check it, flipple check it, bipple check it. The Democrats just too nice. You know what I'm saying? That's what they saying. Y'all just too nice. They telling y'all that. They telling you how they got over on y'all. Y'all just too nice. Swear to God, that's what he's saying. They saying to y'all. They saying that y'all just too nice. We can get y'all every time. Y'all gonna, and when we get in the office, y'all gonna let us get away with this. Y'all gonna let us get through. Y'all gonna give us a chance with this. Y'all gonna sit down and talk to us. Y'all gonna do all this. But when y'all in the office, they disrespect the fuck out of y'all. They walk right over y'all. They don't even know y'all there no more. Matter of fact, y'all ain't even part of the government. That's where y'all followers, the Democrat followers, is a little stressed out at y'all because y'all been too soft. Y'all don't go back and do the thing. Y'all supposed to be tough. How he got out y'all hand is one thing the Democrats are saying. How y'all had that man in y'all hand and he got away and became the president? That's where they at, man. That's where everybody at. Like, how the hell a motherfucker with indictments, felons and felonies and rape charges and all this shit become the president? Some people can't even you can't even get a gun for small little felonies and shit, let alone him like become the president. Y'all give him the power after breaking all these rules and laws to come back in the upping the shit up. It's shit obvious. No motherfucker better never ever say to me he's not racist. I swear to God, you better not never ever say to me he ain't racist, because I'ma just play this right here. He not racist. He go out and try to prosecute 5 boys, 4 blacks, 1 Latino, years before. Years before. He wanted to see these people dead, hanging, shot by our army, electrocuted, any way of death. But they was innocent people. And he still wanted to see these innocent people dead. That don't make no sense. Something ain't right in the head with that, because you still want to see some innocent people dead. And I believe they did it. I don't care what nobody say. They should die. 50 squad, gun range. Shoot them. Gun squad. By the gun squad. They want to see them dead. And they innocent. The range. Somebody say he like Hannibal Lecter. The range. Mine ain't right. Something ain't clicking. He want to do away from schools that actually teach people. He want to fuck up the places that people learn at. He want to involve himself in kids' school. He fuck around with colleges. See, somebody say everything he touches it destroys, but shit. He want to be known as the destroyer that took over. Y'all not getting that? Y'all let that happen? This America? To the point, nobody's safe. I swear to God. Because nobody's safe. Just Loyal Moves. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit them like. Dislike or like, comment, free. So you telling me this man never liked the black people and never liked the Latinos. He want to do away with black people and Latinos. Now he in Nigeria. Now he in Nigeria. Listen. Think about this. Now he in Nigeria. He went out for Latinos. Mexico. But he's not gonna go out for Putin. He weakening the army of America. It's like a story from a bank robbery heist. Play. Like this is like a whole story from a bank robbery heist that he playing. Lie to the people, make them believe. Is that for the 48 laws of power? I mean, it's clear. It's clear. He did the 48 laws of power to get his follower base. If you don't know what the 48 laws of power, it's a book. Go read it. It's not a good book because it teaches people how to manipulate people. Manipulation. So that's what make it not a good book. You know what I'm saying? This man don't like poke Mexicans, man. This man don't like blacks. Let's get back to it.
Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone...
That nigga look crazy. That nigga turning into motherfucking, what's that duck?
to rent
Darkwing duck.
property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your third time.
Most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling. Let's turn the page.
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's turn
Trump,
back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy, please.
She has a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move on
to
to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
That's what her plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond.
President Trump,
No, the
President
former
Trump.
president has said
No, I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry.
I
We're
just
going
need
to move on, Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this
multiple
is now
times.
your
Yes.
third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be? Never going to be great. Or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do
Still don't answer your question.
not have a plan.
I have concepts of a plan.
Oh my God, man. What the fuck?
Better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if
He ain't president right now. But if
we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
sheesh. It's like a whole long Yeah, man. He can't even answer the question. You ask him a question, man. He gonna go around the mulberry bush about 5 times before he answers the goddamn question. Well, the sun was bright. Yeah, it was a bright day. It was a bright day. It was a Monday. It was a Monday. I was sitting outside and I seen the car ride past and I was like, wow, I've seen that car before. Then it ride by past and I was like, no, oh, come on, man, what is you talking about?
What we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand, just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said, at the time because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes? And thankfully, as I've been vice president and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it.
Vice President Harris,
in terms of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a lot
of... She made a mistake. At number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to give. People are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said the climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or is being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. They're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable, but we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
He's talking about himself.
Thank you.
He's talking about himself. He's talking about himself. Let's see.
Statements from both of our candidates. An historic night this.
All right. Donald Trump don't like black people. He said it. He don't like black and Latinos. Black and Latinos. He do not like black and Latinos.
Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of...
Shoot. How about that? I don't like black and Latinos, man. Y'all get it? Hey, you can't stand, but he like black people. He like white people. I mean, Latinos. He kiss his ass. He probably like it. Slave owner liked it. That buck. What was he? Hold on. All right, so we got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes. Let's get it.
30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
I got to take a look at what I was left when I became president and what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out another position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. The price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination of what was left with in corporate greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos. Literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for an insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates. That was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Sheesh. It's actually, it is. It's killing it right now. As we speak.
Job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he's the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant, and the military, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. And they don't know what they were doing. It was probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent. All of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they've raised $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
He was right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal. Absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former...
Take a break. Oh, let me see something. What is this? Oh, let me take it back a little bit. Let me see something go sometime.
What if you...
Hold up. Ah, shit. Give me a break. Give me a break. Oh.
New York City.
And back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, the future president had a big presence in the Big Apple. In this episode of That Was the News Then, we take a look back at Trump, the New York years, and how the news covered this larger-than-life businessman.
We begin with getting to know a little bit more about the man who would become the 45th and 47th President of the United States.
I don't do anything for money unless I'm going to enjoy doing it. If I didn't enjoy a certain project or development or whatever, whether it's football or whether it's building or whatever it is, I won't do it. I just won't do it. I won't do anything for money, for purely money.
But money and Donald Trump have never been strangers. The family organization he now runs reportedly has more than $1 billion in assets. Family and friends say Donald was brash and willful as a teenager, so his father sent him to the New York Military Academy for high school. Fred, his father, built his empire in the outer boroughs. He still manages the 25,000 units of housing he's constructed since 1923. Back in the summer of '82, Father Fred came to Manhattan for the topping off ceremony of his son's Trump Tower. Being his father's son has helped supply Donald with friends in high places.
As a matter of fact, we represented his dad. His dad, Fred Trump, was a builder years ago, and my law firm represented him. I know Donald. He's exciting. He's interested. He has experience. He pays his taxes.
If you look at the whole person and his work product, you have to say that Donald Trump is an asset to the city of New York, and I like him personally. I think that someday he may very well be known as the master builder.
Donald Trump would probably say he's already proven himself a master builder. He feels the Grand Hyatt Hotel proved him a man of vision. In 1975, this place was the closed-up Commodore Hotel. Today, the Grand Hyatt's 1,500 rooms command top dollar. 1,600 people work there. And as part of the deal, Trump restored the exterior of Grand Central Terminal. In 1979, Donald convinced the city and state to pay him $25 million for the Penn Central Rail Yards at West 30th Street. Critics say it was a terrible place to build a new convention center. No transportation, no parking. But Trump says the most awful thing about the place is the state and the city wouldn't let him build it. He says that's why the center will be open 2 years behind schedule with cost overruns of at least $125 million.
I get very frustrated when I see what happened to the convention hall and the kind of cost overruns and everything else that are now projected for the convention center. It should have been built. It should have been open right now.
Trump is building the biggest hotel casino in all of Atlantic City. Harrah's at Trump Plaza is set to open in May. There's a Trump Plaza in New York City, too, a 40-story, $50 million co-op apartment house going up on 3rd Avenue. Trump's not saying what he wants to do with this place. No tinned-up tenement, this 100-unit apartment house on Central Park South at 6th Avenue will be torn down as soon as Donald can get all the tenants out. Trump says he has millionaires there living in rent-controlled flats. When Donald offered to put some of the city's homeless people in vacant apartments there, the city turned him down.
You walk down the streets today and you see people freezing. And I said, put them in those apartments.
Can you blame people for looking a little askance at that and saying, well, isn't it going to be quite unpleasant for these millionaires who live in this building? Isn't that part of what's in the back of your mind?
I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I must tell you, and it's not in the back of my mind. All I can say is that we have in Midtown Manhattan possibly the only 20 vacant apartments in the whole of Midtown Manhattan. And they're being heated, and there's hot water. And I say, let the people stay in there until we get the entire possession.
No project pleases Donald Trump more than the 68-story Trump Tower he built atop Bonwit Tellers and Tiffany's.
I always like going first class. Trump Tower is the ultimate in first class, and that's why it's been successful.
First class is an understatement when it comes to the triplex apartment Donald, his wife, and 3 children will occupy atop the Trump Tower. There are 3 other triplexes. The one with the swimming pool in it sold for more than $12 million and sports monthly carrying charges of $5,000, utilities not included. In all, the 263 apartments in Trump Tower will bring in $270 million. 90% of them are already sold.
Donald Trump likes to call his tower the world's most talked about address. Opulent is one of many adjectives that could be used to describe the 6-story atrium, where shops are paying monthly rents of up to $400 per square foot. In all, Trump expects the commercial portion of the tower to generate $28 million a year in rents.
So why does Donald Trump continue to fight the city in court, demanding tens of millions of dollars in tax abatements under a statute critics call welfare for the wealthy?
We wouldn't have built housing if we didn't think we were going to get the tax abatement. When that's denied to me, but all of these other people, including in Aristotle and Estes, they get it. I really do it out of a sense of fairness. It was unfair.
Most people wouldn't even dream of doing the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. So what are your dreams?
I just really want to continue to do a good job.
Bob O'Brien, Channel 5 News.
In 1987, Donald Trump was asked if he was interested in being president of the United States. Here's what he had to say back then.
You have to say, I don't give a... Please, bro. Dang. I'm hungry as hell. What do I want?
Developer Donald Trump may throw his hat into the ring. His name is already well known to millions of Americans thanks to the Trump Tower and other real estate holdings. The speculation was fueled by ads that Trump took in 3 newspapers today. Christopher Jones has that story.
To this morning's readers of the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Boston Globe, Donald Trump's full-page open letter to the American people may have looked like a rich man speaking out on American foreign policy.
Why'd you write the letter? Because I'm frustrated at looking and seeing the stupidity of what's going on in this country with respect to essentially our foreign policy.
Fair enough. But some ask, would Donald Trump pay $95,000 to complain about foreign policy, or is this his way of saying he's running for president? The ads come at a time when a draft Trump movement is building steam in New Hampshire. So we asked him,
Are you running for president? Absolutely not. I'm not running. I have no intention of running. I'm greatly honored that this New Hampshire group sees fit to choose me as opposed to others, because it's a very credible group. Everybody's been trying to get their support, and I'm very honored. And anybody would...
We may have to wait to see how most of the nation takes to Donald Trump, but at least one New Yorker has already made up his mind.
I find those ads ridiculous. He spent $100,000 for self-advertisements. Who's really interested in his foreign policy? Anybody? Maybe Mrs. Trump. Ed Koch has been a disaster as a mayor. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. I want to make it very clear, I'm very biased. I don't like him. Ed Koch has been a lousy mayor. I believe he'll go down as probably in history the worst mayor in the history of the city of New York. And, when I say that, it's hard for him to say, I really like Donald Trump.
So right now, ask Donald Trump if he wants to be president of the United States, and he will tell you no. But if a wave of support develops for him in New Hampshire, don't look for Donald Trump to get out of the water. Christopher Jones, Fox News, Channel 5.
But in 1999, his political ambitions changed course, and Trump took the first step towards the presidency.
And guess what the top news story is? Donald Trump says he is ready to make his biggest deal ever. He wants to run for the presidency and has formed a committee to study his chances of winning the White House. He even wants a famous talk show hostess to be his running mate. Dick Oliver is at Trump Tower, where the Donald is hoping to go from the penthouse to the White House. Dick, what can you tell us?
That's right, Lynn. And we are joined by Hank Shankoff, the political analyst, to take a closer look at the Trump presidency. What are your thoughts?
Why not? He's a New Yorker who gets things done. He's got his name on buildings like this one. And he has some good ideas, like telling Pat Buchanan to take a walk. He has programmatic ideas. He's got a reasonable record with working people, with union jobs. Why not?
All right, he appeared on the Larry King show and spoke about his potential running mate. This is what he had to say.
The polls have been unbelievable. So I am going to form a presidential exploratory committee. I might as well announce that on your show. Everyone else does. But I'll be forming that and effective, I believe, tomorrow. And we'll see. I mean, we're going to take a very good, strong look at it. And if I felt I couldn't win, I wouldn't run. I absolutely would not run. I'm not looking to get more votes than any other independent candidate in history. I'd want to win.
All right, what about the Trump-Winfrey ticket?
Well, it gets kind of absurd. I mean, realistically, we've had one song and dance band in the presidency. We've had a couple of song and dance band in the Senate. Why not a developer and a talk show host? I mean, this is politics in late 20th century America. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. What are the odds here?
The issue isn't whether he runs for president and wins. The issue is what happens to the Reform Party. They nominate Pat Buchanan, they get moved all the way to the right and marginalized. They nominate Donald Trump, they got a shot to create a third independent movement. And that's just the way it is. And that's why Ventura is so interested.
All right, you mentioned some of these characters. What happens now as far as that third party is concerned? You've got Ventura, you've got Buchanan, you've got Perot, potentially other people as well.
A lot of what occurs here will determine the outcome of the presidential race, frankly, in 2000. If Buchanan's the nominee, he'll destroy the Republicans. If Trump's the nominee, who knows? But more importantly, the battle here is between Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura and Ross Perot, the mega billionaire, for control of the Reform Party. If Buchanan, who is Perot's candidate, is the nominee, they'll be marginalized and moved all the way to the right. If Trump's the nominee, potentially they've got a shot to be a third force where they'll get some votes.
Generally speaking, what is the effect of third parties on the two major parties?
Well, if you look at 92 in the presidential campaign, certainly Ross Perot's run for president, which was serious. He went in and went out, if you may recall, helped Bill Clinton become the president. He took votes away from the Republicans. And it can happen either way, only because the Reform Party has a brand name and people are used to voting for it.
So you would not advise scoffing at the Trump candidacy?
I wouldn't advise scoffing at the Reform Party, and Trump is a more logical choice for them than Buchanan is if they want to be important.
Hank, thanks for coming out this morning.
Thank you.
Hank Shankoff, political analyst.
After the city couldn't do it, Donald Trump stepped in to fix Central Park's Woolman ice skating rink. But could he do the same for the zoo?
Well, Donald Trump put the ice where his mouth was. He said he'd fix the Woolman skating rink, and he did, early and under budget. The city had poured millions of our tax dollars into it year after year, and still no ice. Then along came Trump. Rosanna Scotto reports.
Because, okay, they know he gonna pay for shit. That's all. Let's see.
Rink has been a thorn in the city's side. No matter how hard they tried or how much they spent, the city couldn't put Woolman back together again until builder Donald Trump stepped in and did what many people call the impossible. Where the city spent 7.5 years and $15 million, Trump finished the rink in 3.5 months and about $3 million, and even saved the city some bucks.
Why it was done so quickly by me and so long? Well, talk to the city about the 7.5 years. As far as we're concerned, I'd like to say that we're capable people.
Now, just because Mr. Trump came in at record time and under budget doesn't mean he scrimped and scraped the bottom of the barrel. According to him, he used the best of everything, from construction workers to equipment.
If you look at the quality of this pour, you know, this is something only construction people really understand.
Trump acted like the proud papa, showing off the outside and the inside of the complex, while the workers put the finishing touches on everything, including the renovated landscape. But Mr. Trump was concerned. He hasn't been told yet if he can run the place when it opens, and he's worried about what will happen if he's not around.
If it's not taken care of, we're going to have graffiti all over the place in 3 weeks, and it's going to be horrible.
Somewhat obviously missing from today's media event was the king of the parks himself. Commissioner Henry Stern said he couldn't make it because of scheduling conflicts. But was he given the cold shoulder?
No, there was, well, he didn't have to accommodate me. Henry Stern has opposed me on everything I've ever wanted to do in the city, practically. But I still like Henry Stern. I've always gotten along with Henry. He's been opposition, and I always say, please oppose me, Henry, because so far things have worked out okay.
The skating ring will open to the public sometime in November, depending on how much cold weather we get. But either way, on November 22nd, there will be a big opening night gala with stars like Dorothy Hamill, Peggy Fleming, and Scott Hamilton performing for free, only for Trump. From the Woolman Skate...
Takeover of the city's Woolman skating rink, and now the billionaire has another project on his mind. But as Steve Powers tells us, he will have to fight for it.
There it is, amidst the foliage of Central Park, the Central Park Zoo. To many, it's a respite from the mad pace of the city. But now it's become a battlefield, and in the trenches, Mayor Koch and Donald Trump. Trump, triumphant in completing the Woolman rink last year at a cost of about $2 million in 4 months, after the city spent $12 million in nearly 8 years, is on the attack. The battle zone is strewn with charges and countercharges. The fact is that the zoo has been closed about 4 years and will cost $28 million, $6 million more than planned.
You look at a simple zoo that's been closed from 1982 to the present, and they're talking about 6 years.
How long should it have taken?
It should have taken, I would say, no more than 12 months to 18 months.
They're saying it won't be open until next year.
Well, they're just not competent people. You're talking about people that don't have ability, and that's a shame. There's no leadership at the top. Ed Koch has been a mayor who, all he's got going is one-liners.
And Trump says he'd like a shot at rebuilding the zoo. Is Donald Trump going to move into this project and complete it?
No, the project has basically already been built. It's done. The animals will begin moving into the zoo in a few months.
There's no room for Trump den in there.
No den or even a cage.
They don't want me to get anywhere near it. Not for the good of the city, but because they don't want to embarrass themselves.
Is there something personal between you and the mayor? Is it political?
If I ever run against Ed Koch, I'd beat him. Because that man is weak. He's so weak. It's so pathetic. When you look at the corrupt administration...
Are you ready to run against him?
I'm not running against him because I don't want to be mayor.
Donald Trump has said that if he ran for president, he would win. Is that braggadocio? Or as they say in Italian, chutzpah?
One thing is for sure, that at about this time next year, either there's going to be some animals behind this glass, or Donald Trump will be rattling Mayor Koch's cage. Steve Powers, Fox News, Channel 5.
In 1989, a controversial ad Donald Trump took out in several newspapers calling for the death penalty divided the city and the nation. The personal tragedy of that young female jogger and her friends and family erupted into a bitter public controversy today. Pablo Guzman has that story.
One of the city's best-known names, Donald Trump, took the incident that occurred in Central Park to launch full-page ads in the 4 dailies calling for the death penalty and support of the police. Calling for the death penalty and support of the police.
The lawyers, and boy do I know lawyers, they laugh at our justice system because they can keep these young men out of court for years.
The Trump ad is an ad which conveys that Donald Trump is filled with hate.
When Mayor Koch talks about the fact that I and other people in this city aren't supposed to hate people that go around killing and robbing and mugging all of us, then I disagree with the mayor.
The politicians and the powerful were not the only ones who spoke out against the attack in Central Park. The children were heard from also. The occasion was a calling together of about 100 student leaders from the junior high schools and high school.
And family erupted into a bitter public controversy today. Pablo Guzman has that story.
One of the city's best-known names, Donald Trump, took the incident that occurred in Central Park to launch full-page ads in the 4 dailies calling for the death penalty and support of the police.
The lawyers, and boy do I know lawyers, they laugh at our justice system because they can keep these young men out of court for years.
The Trump ad is an ad which conveys that Donald Trump is filled with hate.
When Mayor Koch
calling for the death penalty and support of the police.
The lawyers, and boy do I know lawyers, they laugh at our justice system because they can keep these young men out of court for years.
The Trump ad is an ad which conveys that Donald Trump is filled with hate.
When Mayor Koch talks about the fact that I and other people in this city aren't supposed to hate people that go and robbing and mugging all of us, then I disagree with the mayor.
The politicians and the powerful were not the only ones who spoke out against the attack in Central Park. The children were heard from also. The occasion was a calling together of about 100 student leaders from the junior high schools and high schools to focus students' thoughts on the violence in the park and what such violence says and does not say about our young people.
They had families who loved them, friends who cared. How could this have happened? Families can hope, protect, discipline, love, and pray for us. At some point, we are on our own.
All debates set aside, the bottom line in this case is the crime itself. The police and the Manhattan DA are continuing their investigation, and within the next week and a half, they expect to have more pieces of the puzzle put together. They have to. After all, given the severity of her injuries, the victim in this case is not expected to testify as a witness on her own behalf. From Central Park, I'm Pablo Guzman, Fox News, Channel 5.
In 1990, Trump's new casino and hotel on the Atlantic City Boardwalk opened with big fanfare, but just a year later, there was trouble for the Taj Mahal.
Donald Trump gave the high rollers the moon and stars tonight, along with a fancy laser show and fireworks to open his Taj Mahal. He's hoping they will give him at least $1 million a day at the gaming tables. That's just to break even. Robin Carter is inside the Taj right now in Atlantic City with a look at the big opening night party for you. Robin?
Well, John, from the sound of those
And from the sound of those slot machines behind me, it sounds as if Donald Trump is already breaking even. But let's face it, who really cares about that? What everybody wanted to know tonight was who was the Donald going to bring as his date for the Big Bash. Well, the party is still going on in a ballroom upstairs, so the night is still young. But I can tell you, so far, we have not seen the alleged other woman, Marla Maples. So far, we have not seen Ivana Trump, who a lot of people thought might show up. A lot of people thought that the Trumps might kiss and make up at this Big Bash. And so far, we have not seen the alleged mystery guest, who a lot of folks thought might be Michael Jackson, because he is going to be here tomorrow for a private tour. So as far as the celebrity count goes, this wasn't exactly the party of the decade, but Donald Trump did stage a carnival here tonight in a city that revels in pseudo-glitz.
Here goes nothing.
Oh, man, this is what you call investigation work right here. God damn.
Good evening, Master.
Donald Trump's party of the decade was a cross between Arabian Nights and Star Wars, as a laser light cut the ribbon on the Taj Mahal and a spectacular fireworks display officially christened the casino. Earlier, Trump told the adoring crowd his billion-dollar baby is already paying off.
They talked about $1 million a day. I think, Bucky, we've done that in the first few hours. We have a lot of surprises. This building is a winner. Nobody's seen anything like it. The reviews have been unanimous raves. I've never been more delighted. I always thought when I did Trump Tower in New York, that was always going to have a special place, and it will. But now this really has to take the mantle, because what's happened here is beyond even my wildest expectations.
I look like
And among the fabulous somebodies who have already shown up for this party, model Elle McPherson and Michael Spinks, and casino rival Merv Griffin, who lost the Taj to Trump in a bitter takeover battle.
And to think, ladies and gentlemen, that I owned this for 24 hours. This hotel casino alone is going to bring hundreds of thousands of new people to Atlantic City. And once they get a taste of this end of the boardwalk, they're never going to leave. They're going to love it. The boardwalk has tilted, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm delighted.
And the billion-dollar Taj is already shaping up to be quite a blockbuster. On Monday, the Taj was only open for slot machines, for real money, and on that day, they took in over $900,000 in just 8 hours. Today, the first day of unlimited gambling, an official tells me they expect to rake in over $3 million. So at least so far, it looks like Donald Trump is winning at his latest game of Monopoly on the Atlantic City Boardwalk. I'm Robin Carter. Now back to John in the studio.
All right, Robert, thanks.
Well, the song says what a difference a day makes, but what a difference a year can make. Last year, the Trump Taj Mahal Casino opened with great expectations, but that's hardly the mood now.
One step beyond your wildest imagination. $1 billion dream come true.
Or could it be a nightmare waiting to happen? The Taj Mahal opened its doors to reveal a lavish casino 1 year ago today. There was much fanfare and ballyhoo, but the ballyhoo has turned to boo-hoo as Donald Trump's Taj Mahal failed to meet its great expectations.
So far, it's staying afloat. He's making payroll because there's cash flow. His biggest problem is paying bondholders, and he's barely made his payments.
Now, although the Taj Mahal has led Atlantic City's casinos in gross gaming revenues since it opened, it's had to struggle to meet the average daily intake that analysts predicted it needed to break even.
The original estimate was that he had to make $1.3 million a day to break even, which would have meant somewhere around $400 million in the year in gross revenues, which no casino's ever even approached. After he has restructured his loans, I believe the dollar figure now is somewhere around $800,000 a day.
A financial stability hearing on the Taj Mahal began last December and is still going on, and will run smack into the casino's April 26th relicensing hearing. And according to Trump's attorneys, financial restructuring will put the Taj under bankruptcy protection by April 8th.
Hey, 000.
And while Trump was busy trying to keep the Taj Mahal afloat, it's possible he may have been causing Trump Castle and Trump Plaza to sink.
If you look at the numbers from last year, every property lost market share last year as a result of the Taj Mahal opening.
Taj officials anticipate they will be in bankruptcy court for quite some time. And Trump just might end up with the Trump card. Some analysts say there are two lessons to be learned here. Don't bite off more than you can chew, and all that glitters is not necessarily gold.
The Trump shuttle gave Pan Am a run for its money as the dueling airlines competed to rule the sky. Donald Trump says he's out to divorce some Pan Am customers from their shuttle flights so he can get the business. Christopher Jones reports.
We're going to have to get back to Donald Trump later, man. This Lawyer Moves about to sign out. We've been here for 4 hours. 4 hours, man. I'm beating a record. I have to get this up. So, man, make sure y'all subscribe, like, hit the comments. We're trying to figure out what's the problems around here. That's all. That's it. Opinions, thoughts, nothing else. Educational purposes only. You know what I'm saying? Let's get through this. Lawyer Moves, I'm out.